Good evening. This is Dwayne Lowry for the DPP Grain Desk on Sunday, December 4th. Calls tonight are kind of mixed. There's a lot of different ways to look at things. I got outside market influences, you got South American weather influences, price action from last week, and trader sentiment. All of these things combined come up with multiple different ways of viewing things. Let's start out with weather. South American weather over the last several days has been offering some hints of concern developing for southern Brazil. Some rain systems have been delayed or pushed back or even just canceled. We went away on Friday expecting some slight improvement in chances of precip for southern Brazil this week. I would say today's forecast appears to have more confidence that this rain system will develop. From that standpoint, weather probably has a slightly bearish twist. For South America, overall conditions down there are relatively good. Some areas of dryness concerns are beginning to develop in Argentina. I don't think that's a major market focus at the present time, and overall weather hasn't really been driving grain price action on a day-to-day basis anyway. Outside markets are going to have most focus on Thursday and Friday of this week when the European Union leaders meet to try to finalize a rescue plan for the euro and some pathway that opens up the opportunity for the European Central Bank to become more aggressive and more stimulative in nature. That's going to take place on Thursday and Friday. The central bank meets on Thursday. The expectation is that they will lower interest rates. From those perspective and anticipation of those events, the outside markets might have an early supportive tone this week, but I don't think that it's going to be anything dramatic, and I think a lot of that storyline may have been factored in with last week. As far as trader sentiment goes towards the grains, it's amazing to see it unfold, but basically we have got grain prices that, if not currently, were within a week or so ago of the lowest values we've seen throughout the entire calendar year, and throughout the whole year trader sentiment was nothing but bullish. There was no attempt to be bearish. There was no willingness to consider downside risk if you were involved with producer marketing strategy considerations. And now suddenly in the last couple of weeks there is some bearishness. And so with that being said, last week's performance in the grain, I'd say, was relatively constructive. We're trying to define some major bottoms here. We're trying to recover from a sharp sell-off. We're trying to put a floor in, so to speak. And I think the price action overall last week was conducive to that and supportive. But I think there's a lot of disbelief that the market just can't rally. They're looking at the global soybean fundamental balance sheet, relatively acceptable and favorable South American start to the growing season, and trying to be bearish off of that. I think those factually are correct assumptions, and I understand the bearishness for it. The question is how much of that has already been factored in with prices that have fallen sharply over the last 2 or 3 months. In the case of the corn, you've got the market disappointed with overall performance. They're looking forward to 2012, anticipating more acres, anticipating trendline yields, and they're coming up with a much less bullish scenario than they've seen in previous winter type of expectation. So we got people bearish on corn based off of that. Factually, here again, I think that there's probably a certain element of truth to that. In the case of old crop, it's going to be a little bit tighter than that implies. And I think that here again, we're at the lowest prices we've seen in a year, and I think a lot of this has been factored into prices. We've liquidated a tremendous amount of speculative length out of the marketplace, and more importantly, we've transformed sentiment from a bullish-only type of trader sentiment to a don't trust rally type of sentiment. And so I think a lot has been accomplished here, and this is not the place to be short. This is not the place to develop bearishness. As far as wheat's concerned, market performed well last week to begin the stages of defining some major price bottoms. Fundamentally, there's probably no reason for wheat to rally, and it's probably not likely to develop a fundamental reason until we get towards the spring of the year and see if we can develop some global problem somewhere. But here again, how much of the bearishness has been factored into values over the last few months, that when the wheat market has been very depressed, and So I think that, to start out this week, you got people that are going to call the markets a little bit higher. I don't really have any major problem with that. I certainly could see values trading a little bit higher, maybe from some knee-jerk outside market reactions. But I think that favorable South American weather probably puts some increases some selling interest here in beans. Market is probably going to not trust the last week's rally in wheat because they don't see the fundamental merit for it. So I wouldn't be surprised you get some increased selling there. So even if we start higher this week, which is certainly a possibility, I think you're going to find some increased selling. So while that may sound like I have a little bit of a bearish spin to the early part of this week, I'm not at all concerned about developing a major price down move from this level. Overall conditions remain consistent with the defining a major price bottom and price floors in the area of last week's lows, and any weakness here over the next 2 or 3 weeks that may probe down and test or even jab those lows. I certainly would say that is a possible scenario, but this is not the type of time frame or the price area or the type of price action that you want to embrace short positions and embrace bearishness. We are defining major price lows, and I think we look ahead to expect better prices in the months ahead, especially for old crop positions of corn. For the DPP Grain Desk, this has been Dwayne Lowry. Thank you.